What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the BookMine Academy. This is a long overdue video. It's the roadmap to your goals. Victor and I are going to share with you an incredibly awesome calculator for figuring out how much money you want to make every single month. But before we get into that, what's going on, Victor?
Hey, Joji. Actually, this is probably one of my favorite videos. We're going to talk about numbers, and I love numbers, and I love showing different scenarios and stuff like that. So, if you're just starting out as a bookseller, if you're a seasoned bookseller, and you want to see how much money you could be making if you were able to like increase your inventory, or if you had more capital, this is a video for you. So, yeah, let's dig into it, Joji.
Here it is, Victor. Roadmap to your goals. Just an awesome calculator. The roadmap calculator, you only need to put in 4 values and it spits out all of this awesome data. Now, what you need to know is that this will be on view only, meaning you will not be able to make any edits unless you do the following. You got to go to the top left, click on file, click make a copy. Once you make a copy, then you have your own version, which you can edit any of these things, any of these numbers, and you can do whatever you want with it. But again, this will be view only. You won't be able to edit anything unless you actually do that. Now, Victor, a couple of things I think we should get out of the way before we even get into this calculator.
Okay.
One is that you have to understand that this is an inventory based business, meaning you have to spend money. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so we're not selling like imaginary pictures or anything like that. We're not drop shipping. We actually have an inventory based system. So the more inventory you have, the more you're going to be able to sell. So we typically sell between a 0.5% to 1% of our inventory every month. So the more inventory you have, the more you're going to sell. So that's what we're talking about. You actually have to start out your business investing into inventory. And depending on how many books you're going to source per day is how much you're going to need in capital to invest that into books.
That's such an important point because you just said that what matters in an inventory based business is how large the inventory is. And what determines how large the inventory is, Victor, is how many books do you buy per day?
Right.
So you have to take a step back and look down at what you're doing right now and think about how many books are you buying, because that determines and impacts how big your inventory is, which then determines your success as a bookseller. Because it's not like Victor or I are some amazing bookseller that has an incredible, a secret sell-through rate that nobody else has. That's not the case. We have a very similar sell-through rate as any other bookseller. It's just that we have a lot of books in inventory because
Right.
it's an inventory-based business. The reason why Walmart sells so much more than your corner convenience store is because Walmart has way more inventory than your convenience store does. That makes sense, right?
So good. Great points. And you know what? With Amazon, we already have it like preset, preloaded in customer base. Basically, all we have to do is just provide the books out there, and then we're able to get 1% of our inventory sold per day.
Yeah. So again, depending on what kind of books you're sourcing, there are different models with online book arbitrage. So if you're sourcing slower moving books and you're targeting higher return on investment because they move more slowly, like I do, you'd have a lower sell through rate per day. And if you're doing the opposite, you're buying books that sell very fast at a lower ROI, then you have a higher sell through rate. But most booksellers are going to be in between 0.5% to 1.5% per day. Again, we're talking online book arbitrage. We're not talking about thrifters. We're not talking about bulk booksellers. We're talking about online book arbitrage, right?
Right.
Now, the other thing you have to understand though is that it's not like it's going to be the same every day, right? Victor, it's like there's seasons, right? There's January and there's
Mhm.
August and it's Christmas. Like, can you tell us why it's not the same, sell through rate every single day or every single month?
Yeah, so, it depends on what type of books are you sourcing, right? So, us as online arbitrage sellers, we tend to focus on seasons, so that's one of the strategies you can have. So, if most of your books are college textbooks, guess when you're gonna sell most of them, right? January and August.
Season. Yep.
So, on the other months that are not January and August, like February, March, April, you're gonna be probably at, like, say, 0.75, point 0.8 of your inventory per day. But on those really great months, January and August, we're talking about, like, 2, 3, maybe even 4% of your inventory every day. Right, right. Well, altogether averaged out, I'm saying 1% of your inventory every day if you're having to, like, look at this for the entire year, but it's seasonality. So don't think that every day you're gonna have to sell 1%, otherwise you're not a great
Right.
bookseller and things like that. It does have seasonality to it, but just know that that's what you're gonna typically see between point 0.5 to 1.5 depends on what type of books you're sourcing.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's just go ahead and give people a framework or context for what that would look like based on your inventory.
Yeah.
So let's say you have 100 books in inventory, meaning you physically went out and bought 100 books, like on Amazon. You
Yeah.
actually went to BookMine, you look through books, you click buy now on 100 different books. So your inventory size is 100 books at a inventory turnover rate of 1% per day. How many books you selling per day?
One. One book per day
Yeah.
at 1%.
Yeah. But the reason why I say that is like, don't come to us saying that this model doesn't work when you only sell one book per day if you have 100 books in inventory. That's that's normal. 1% per day as a book sell, that's normal. So if
Yeah.
you have 100 books in inventory and you've only sell one book per day, that means you're doing exactly what you should be doing. That's great. You sell 1% of your inventory per day. Now, you might be looking at Joji and Victor and going, yeah, but I'm only selling one book per day and they're selling like 20 books per day. But it's like, yeah, but my inventory is 20 times bigger than yours. So therefore, I'm selling 20 times more than you are, if that
Right.
makes sense, right? We're doing the same.
Thing that you're not doing is that we have a much larger inventory base, much more, inventory than you guys do, so all you have to do is just go get more inventory.
You just gotta buy more books, which is why we talk about it's so important to be buying 10 books per day at least. Try to target more if you can, but at least be consistent with how many books you're trying to add because you have to continually grow your inventory if you want to sell more and more. But let's continue on with this analogy. So if you had 100 books in your inventory
Yep.
and you sell 1% per day, you're selling one book per day,
Right.
right? Now, let's 10x that. Let's say you're going to 1,000 books in inventory. You're really starting to get the hang of things. How many books you selling per day?
And you're selling
There you go.
books a day. Yep.
Okay. So same numbers, just at different scale. All right. Now let's go and talk about this incredible roadmap calculator, which again, you can snag for free. That's actually just going to be linked down below. And yeah, really cool. All you have to do to get it is just put in your email address. You put in your email address and we'll send it to you for absolutely free. And you guys can use it. And it's just an awesome calculator.
There's only 4 things you have to put in there.
Yeah. So let's go and talk about them, Victor. So books per day, simply the target of how many you want to buy. We always say try to buy 10 books per day, but you could put in whatever you want, Victor.
Right, right. So let's just say that you are just starting out and you're like, okay, 10 is a lot. This is why you can put different numbers in here, play with different scenarios. You can put
Yeah.
in 5, or if you're like, oh, yeah, I'm kind of seasoned. I've already been doing this for 6 months or longer. I can easily source 20 books a day. Then go and put in 20 and see what it affects the numbers here.
Yeah.
So, but we have preached 10 books a day. So we're going to start with 10 so you can see the scenario played out. But yeah, 10 books a day. We also believe your average buy price should be right around $15 because some of your books you can buy them as cheap as like maybe $7,
Yeah.
and some books up to $25, but on average about $15 a book.
Yep. And again, you can play around with that. Some people like to target the lower end of the book. Some people like to target the higher end of the books. The cool thing is that you can just put your average buy price there. If you're like, well, how do I know what my average buy price is? Something that's very simple you could do is just look at like the last 20 books you bought and just average them out. And you could just use that as a number. And again, all of this is theoretical. So everything that you'll see in this spreadsheet is based upon the numbers that you put in here. What actually happens is going to be slightly different because your average buy price is probably not exactly $15. It might be $14.36. Or, you might not have actually bought exactly 10 books per day. Maybe on average, it was like 10.3 books per day, right? So it's not going to be exactly perfect, but it's going to be a very, very close estimate of what it would look like if you were to do this. So
Yep.
next thing we got here is the ROI. The incredible thing about books, Victor, is that unlike traditional selling models where you're trying to get like 6% per year, like, you open a big box retail store or you open a frozen yogurt chain, you're trying to make 6% on your money, meaning for every $100, you're trying to make $6.
Yeah, yeah.
That's not what look.
So true, Goji. Restaurants, 6%. That's what their goal is. Not what they're gonna get. That's their goal is 6%. Grocery stores, 4%. So 0.04% is what your grocery store, your local grocery store is hoping to get it as far as a profit margin. But with books, we're like 75%. Yeah, that's normal. It's just amazing how great books are. And this is
Yep.
why we're both into books.
Yep. So we put point 75 because that's like a 75% ROI. Certainly, if you want to target faster moving books, you can go to point 0.5. You could certainly do 0.25 you want. You could go to the other end like me. I tend to sell books that are very slow moving, that have very high ROI. So you could be like 150% ROI, that'd be 1.5. But we're just going to put 75% because I think it's a pretty average return, because you're going to have some books that are over 100%, some that are under 50%. It's all going to average out, right?
Right.
Now, this is where the sell-through rate per day comes in. We have it as 1. Again, it's all averaged out because books will, your sell-through rate will change over the months as you hit textbook season and then you're not in textbook season, then it's winter season, you know what I mean? So at 1, that just means you're selling 1% of your inventory per day. You could simply go down to like zero point 0.5 if you're selling 0.5% per day. You could go to 1.5 if you're selling 1.5% per day. So we're just gonna put 1 there, but again, you can change any of these 4 things, and we have an awesome calculator that spits out some data here. So why don't you get started here, Victor, with month 0? What's going on in month
Yeah.
0?
Yeah, so after we put in all 4 of those calculations, right? Now we have a whole table underneath that, and it shows you what you would be doing after you put in those 4 numbers. So in month 0, we put 0, right, in month 0 because we're not officially a book seller yet because in month 0, we have not sold any books. But what we're doing is building our inventory to eventually sell books. So at month, 0, we're going to be buying 10 books a day. Our average buy cost is $15. It's gonna cost us $150 a day in sourcing. So that means for our monthly spend is $4,500. So we're gonna have to take out $4,500 to be able to put in to get 300 books in your inventory. So that's what basically month 0 is, building your inventory to 300 books. And then farther down in, say, column K is how much money we spend. And you can see in column M, which is probably our most important column, is how much money we're gonna be able to take out. And so far, we're not able to take out anything, right? We've not sold any books. We're having to spend $4,500 for this inventory. But don't worry, it gets much better in month 1.
Yep. Month 1 simply just means, hey, the books that we bought in the starting process, by the way, 300 books that you bought in the starting,
Yep.
those have now made their way to Amazon. Now they're starting to sell. And again, we said that we're going to sell at about 1% of your inventory per day. So that means we would have sold about 180 books because again, every month we're going to continue to add another 300 books. So our inventory size has grown from 300 to 600, but we now have sold, 1% of the inventory per day. So 180 books have sold. And at our ROI target, which we said a 75% return on a $15 buy cost, that's $11 profit. That's bringing back 4,700 in revenue per month as a paycheck from Amazon after Amazon fees. So think about how crazy that is, Victor.
Yep.
Literally by like month 2, you would have put in $4,500, but you actually got back $4,700 back at the end of that month, meaning you actually came out with $225.
Yeah, so because you're needing to spend $4,500 again next month to buy more inventory, but you're not having to actually take it out of your pocket anymore after month 2, which is again unheard of in business school, right? So in business school, they teach you that to break even is like a 2 to 3 year process. Most of the time, it's 3 years to break even. Like if you are a good business, you're hoping to break even in year 3.
Yeah.
But here, not years, but months, we're going to break even or at least start seeing where we're not going to have to be investing any more money after 2 months in, which is an amazing process or amazing opportunity here. And it just shows you how great books are.
And I don't want to understate the feat that is needed to get here
Yeah.
because understand that in order for that to have happened, you would have had to, over a 2-month period, have not wavered at all and have bought 10 books per day every single day, no matter if it was your grandma's birthday, if it was your birthday, if somebody died in the family, if you had a college exam, if you had to pick up your kids from school, if whatever reason, right? You bought 10 bucks per day no matter what, and you did that for 60 days, 2 months. If you're somebody who is that serious about it and you're that committed, this is absolutely possible, which is awesome. But also understand that you may not be like that. If you do take off the weekends and you do take off, for a funeral, or you do take off for a vacation and you're not buying, remember it's an inventory based business. If you're not adding inventory, the business doesn't grow. The business, you know what I mean? It's really simple.
Good points, Joji. I mean, like, be truthful to yourself, right?
Yeah.
We're telling you to buy 10 books a day, but maybe you're not. Maybe you're like, okay, 10 books is a lot. I could probably do 6 or 7 or something like that. Go and change column 1. Go change books per day to a different number there. Yeah.
And it's way different.
And that's realistic. This is what your actual bed to. But I'm telling you, if you have the determination and you're really driven, these are easy numbers to obtain. Especially once you get to understand patterns and stuff, you should be able to buy 10 books pretty quickly.
Yep. So again, every month we're just going to be buying the same number of books with the current setup here. Again, what you'll see later on is that eventually this will lead to you plateauing, but let's continue to go on. So
Yeah.
the next month, again, you buy the same number of books.
Right.
You buy 300 books, you've spent $4,500, but again, it's not like you had to reach into your savings to get that 4,500. It actually just came back from Amazon. Amazon gave you a paycheck for $5,600 because the books that you had bought up to that point had started selling. You made some profit on those books. Not only that, you got all of the capital back from what you had spent on those books, and it's like you're actually netting $1,000. So actually, your bank account is going up by 1,000, even though you still have bought $4,500 worth of books. Now, Victor, tell me, why did the inventory size not grow by 300 though from month 1 to month 2 here, or month
Yeah,
2 to month
or
3?
month 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah,
It's because each month you're also selling, a percentage of your inventory, and we're saying 1% of your inventory, per grade, so per month, it's about 30%. So you are selling about 30% of your inventory every month, and that's why that number isn't going up by 300. It's still going up, but not by 300 because, again, you are selling them.
yeah, and what you'll notice is that you will eventually get to a point, Victor,
Yeah.
where the number of books sold on a monthly basis is equal to the number of books purchased, in which case you plateaued.
Right, you plateaued under this scenario. So,
Yeah,
when you get to that point when you actually selling as many books as you are buying, then you have to decide as a bookseller, in your, like, your current predicament, do you want to, like, build from here? And if you do, you need to start sourcing more, or if you're just good here. Like, because a lot of people are just like, "Hey, Victor, I wanna make $3,000 extra per month. I wanna be able to buy a boat, or I wanna go on vacation, and this is what this is money is gonna be used for." That's
yeah,
cool. But if you really wanna continue to build this, you're gonna have to start raising your numbers.
yep.
Because right now you at by month, let's say, like, even like 9 or 10, you kinda almost plateaued. You have to decide whether or not you wanna go from there.
Now, again, like Victor mentioned, the great thing though is after a few months, you're net positive. You're taking money out, like you're actually profiting. You're bringing money in from having really started with a quite a small investment to have been to every month be bringing this much money out. And so what you'll see again is that you do start plateauing because you do get to the point where now you're buying 300 books every month, but you're also selling like 300 books on average every month.
Yeah.
And again, the great thing here is, well, every month you're just a profit factory. You're just ripping off $3,000 profit months, like month after month after month. And again, this is oversimplified because of seasonality, right? Think of this as an average. Obviously, during January, you'd have a much larger paycheck, and in February, it's a much smaller paycheck because in January you have a textbook season, and February's afterward. We're just talking in sort of average sort of numbers, right? So you see that, okay, like Victor said, are you okay plateauing and making that amount of money? If you are, great, you do incredibly well. Keep doing that. If not, well, now you have to start adding more books to inventory so that your inventory can keep growing, right? And seeing so that you can outpace how many books are selling every single month. Now, Victor,
Yeah.
we also have a column over here on the right called asset value, and people who are looking at this are noticing that it's growing. Can you tell us what this column is?
Yeah, because what we wanted to do, we wanted to make an extra column there to highlight or to showcase that actually your business is continuing to, like, grow, as far as as far as being an asset. So not only are you able to take out money per month, your business is also growing. So your inventory, by month 12 is worth $21,000. So you're gonna have a business that's worth $21,000. It's always, spitting out $3,300 in profit that you're gonna just be able to take home. And just to remind you, this is only 10 books a day. And once you get to, like, say, month 4 or 5, you're gonna be able to source, especially if you're using BookMine, you'll be able to source 10 books in 10 minutes or less a day. So you're gonna your only job is to show up to BookMine for 10 minutes, source 10 books, and then go on with the rest of your day.
Yeah.
Like have Amazon do the rest of it for you, your prep center do that extra work, and you just, every month just collect the paycheck.
Yeah. So don't hear us, incorrectly here. We're not saying that you only took out 21,000. We're saying at this point, the value of the inventory you have is worth 21,000. But remember, up until that point, you would have taken out $25,000 as like a paycheck, like $25,000 as income that you
Right.
actually made that you realized. And then on top of that, you have a business that has the valuation of $21,000, which is awesome because then, if let's say you're like, you know what, I'm going to take 2 week vacation. Guess what? You still have an inventory of 900 books, and over those 2 weeks, you're going to see very similar numbers. Now, if let's say you stop after, let's say it's not just a couple weeks, and you take a 3 month hiatus, then your inventory levels are going to start falling, and then obviously what you're making per month is going to go down. But the thing is, once you build a big enough snowball, you can actually kind of take a break a little bit and still see amazing returns and still see a lot of money that you're making, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, that's a good point, Joji. Some people have had like a say they want to collect more money for Christmas so they can buy Christmas gifts and stuff. So they won't source anything for December.
Yeah.
And so if you don't source that $4,500, your inventory will be almost identical to the month before it. So you don't have to put in the $4,500, but you're still going to collect $3,000. So together at that month, you can actually say that you made or able to bring in 7,500 or was it $7,800. And then as long as you go back in January and keep going, you're not going to really see much of a difference.
Yep. So I think the important thing to see here is that consistency matters the most in the beginning, in the middle,
Yeah.
and matters less once you become established. And what I mean by that is if in the beginning you're only buying a book here and a book there, and you're buying 10 books on Monday, and then you skip Tuesday and Wednesday and then buy 10 books, like if you don't build a snowball, then you're not going to see any real returns. Like you're not going to see consistent returns. But the thing is, if you do, if you are consistent in the beginning and you are consistent in the medium term, like we just mentioned, you could take a 2 week vacation and you're going to see hardly any change in your business at all. Just like if you're somebody who's gone to the gym for 12 months and you've gone to the gym 4 or 5 days every single, week for an entire year, you're gonna be looking great, and then even if you take a 2-week break, Victor, you're still probably gonna look great because
Yeah.
you did all of that hard work before it.
It's exactly the right way, Joji. And so you want to play with these numbers at all? And because you
The
know that that's basically what our goal is, or for you, what we said is to try to source 10 books a day. But let's just say we're overachievers here and we're sourcing, say, 20 books a day. What will we do then?
Let's do it. So if we come over here and books per day, we put 20.
Yeah.
And again, let's just say you're spending more too. Let's say, hey, I'm going to be targeting more, books that are higher price. So $20 average spend price. Let's say this person is looking for books that sell more quickly. There, though, and so therefore, and they're looking at a lower ROI. So let's say they're looking at 0.5, so 50% ROI on their books, and their sell through rate. Let's say it's going to be actually a little bit higher. Let's say it's like, instead of 1%, let's say it's like 1.2% per day.
Yeah.
This is what the numbers look like.
Yeah.
This person is putting in $12,000 per month.
And it sounds kind of daunting there initially, George. You're right. $12,000. That means month zero, you're going to invest $12,000 without any money earning back. But immediately in month one, you're already seeing it turn green. You're already $960 in the positive, which means you no longer need to be putting any additional money in, and we'll keep building from there. And this is why we always stress consistency, because once you really get into the first few months of a lot of sourcing, the rest of the numbers just work out and it won't be required for you to always have to source every single day.
Yeah. I think it's cool. Let's go and share kind of what my numbers look like as well, because everyone's unique in their style. Like, certainly there's people out there that probably buy 20 books per day that spend $20 an average that are just looking at a 50% ROI and sell 1.2% of their inventory. Like, there's somebody out there that's probably doing that. I'm certainly not that. I, on average, buy about 13 books per day. It's like 13.1 or 2, something like that. Slightly over 13 on average. That's what I do per day. My average buy price is like $17. My ROI is actually my average ROI is like closer to 200%, but my average sell-through rate per day is usually around like 0.5, so about half a percent. So going back to the example, if I have 100 books in inventory, if with my model at half a percent per day, you sell like a book every other day,
Yeah.
right? If you have 1,000 books in inventory, you're selling like 5 books every single day. So, anyways, here's what my numbers would look like in terms of okay, what would you want to do? I usually spend between like $6,000 or $7,000 a month. Look how spot on that is, Victor.
Yeah.
It's like 66. That's right. L- and so for me, because my model's slower and it takes longer for the book to sell, notice how it's not really until like month 3 where I'm actually starting to see money come back. And the cool thing is, you see how quickly you can start making a lot of money because I've been doing this for years. And so generally I'm making like $7,000, $8,000 profit per month. And that's kind of exactly what the numbers show here. And it's just because, my inventory size is growing. It actually grows pretty quickly. Again, I sell small, lower percent, about half a percent, but you can still see how profitable that style of business is. And that's the way that I like to go.
And again, it's just about being consistent, Jody. And then for me, it's I buy about 26 books per day. My average cost is around 17 to $18, so you can leave it however you want there.
Yeah.
And then my ROI is around 50%, so point 0.5. And then my sell through rate is so let's just say point 0.8.
Point. Okay. Okay. So this is what Victor's model is looking like. So, he's buying way more books at a much lower ROI. Understand though that it's gonna take him probably a lot less time to find those books because he's targeting a lower ROI. And so we might be spending the same amount of time. He just comes out with more books because he's willing to be less picky, if that makes sense. And so this is what his model's like. He's looking at like month 4, month 5, where he's starting to actually, bring the snowball around. And this is what we mean, Victor, is like at the end of the day, most people who do any business fail, and most people who come to books fail because they're not willing to give it a chance. Like I tried month one, 1 month, I bought books kind of here that didn't work out. The model doesn't work. It's done. Like, look at your model, Victor. It would have taken 4 or 5 months
Yeah.
to get to a point where you're actually starting to take money out of the
And you know
business.
what, Wilgie? Most people would give up based on the prep centers we've talked to and just
Yeah.
other booksellers. Most people give up and then on that month 0, month 1 because it's hard, right? I'm investing $13,000 and haven't got any money back. I
Yeah.
invested 13,000 and the next month I'm negative 3,000. But they just don't see right after that. Literally, it's just a great opportunity that's really they're really missing out on if they had just kept going down that same course.
Yep. You're going up a hill,
Yeah.
and the hardest part is getting to the top. And it's gonna take you, a couple, 2, 3, 4, 5 months of consistency to get to the top. But then once you're at the top, it's an awesome ride. It's an awesome view, but so many people can't put in that work to get to that point. And
No.
if you're not willing to put in the hard work and the consistency, well, then it's okay. It's not for you. Then you got to move on to something else. But it's an inventory based business, Victor. The only way you build inventory,
Yep.
the only way you get inventory
Yeah.
is if you buy books.
Yeah. And this is why we think BookMine is such an amazing tool because that's how you're able to buy so many books so quickly. We have some people who are buying 80 books a day on BookMine. It's what eight book. Go back. You guys are in there. Like you guys go play with 80 books a day. Just imagine how much money you're making. For
No,
putting.
not 800, 80 bucks per day. There you go. 80 bucks per day. Say, let's just same number, 17 by Prime.
Oh no, no. And this particular guy is at 100% ROI. He's like, I want all of my inventory. I want to be at 100% ROI, and he's at point 0.8. So, yep, these are his almost true identical numbers.
So he's making like 30K profit a month. But what I want you all to know is that, and this is a really important concept, is like, okay, yeah, this person's making, by month 6, $30,000 per month, and then up to 38,000. And even he will plateau at some point because
Right,
he won't be able to buy more books than what he's selling on a monthly basis, right? Because
right.
he'd be selling two by month while he's selling 2,300 books per month. You know how hard it is to keep that inventory up because you're just selling so many books? Uh, Again, what's important to note is that it's not any different than any other bookseller. It's just that he has a way larger inventory, so he's just selling way more books. It's the same percentage of books, though, that he's selling. But again, this guy's making $30,000 profit per month, okay? Everyone can be jealous about it. Everyone can say, "He knows some secret that I don't know." He's got the ins and outs. No, he's putting in the work. He's buying 80 books a day?
Every
This
time I
guy's
talk
spending
to
like
him,
10 hours, 12 hours at the computer, like,
every time I talk to him, he's buying books. He only talks about books. He's all about books. Everything he's talking about, his emails he sends me, he talks to you, he talks to me every day just about books because you have to be that determined if you're buying that many books. And so
yeah.
we don't have to be that way. You guys don't have to be like that. But what I'm just telling you, it's possible if
Yeah.
you want to get to that type of level.
Yep. Certainly at that level, you're probably starting to need to scale to virtual assistants. You're gonna need help because you can only buy so many books in a day. There's certainly enough books out there. There's 100 million books listed on Amazon. Even someone buying 80 books per day wouldn't even put a dent in a dent of a dent in the market. Like they're so insignificant and so unnoticeable that the fact that you would even think that they're making a dent is just it shows that you're not really comprehending the scale of how big Amazon is and how many books are on Amazon. But
Well, if you think about BookMine, right, there's 5,000 books on there every hour. And so if one person buys 80 of the 5,000 books, you won't even notice that guy's there. So,
yeah.
there's a lot of opportunities for a lot of people to get those type of numbers.
But still understand that that guy is making a lot of money because he's putting in an insane amount of hours. He's
Yeah.
putting in a bunch of work. I mean, 80 books per day. Literally, he's waking up, sipping, his coffee, and he might even need to buy 10 books before he sips his first guy. Is so the cool thing about books and the cool thing about Amazon is you get to choose the lifestyle that you want.
Yeah.
If you just want to buy 3 books a day and make 250 bucks a month, great. All power to you.
Yeah, it's a good lifestyle.
If you want to be like me and just buy like 13 bucks, per day because you only want to spend an hour and a half on it, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Could I use more money? I mean, I guess I could, but I also don't need any more money. We're both financially independent. We're happy where we're at. Like at some point, you also have to understand that you're not just focusing on money in your life. You need to focus on how you spend your time.
Yeah.
And that's why it's really important that you really sit down with this calculator and think, who do I want to be? Where do I want to be? And let's target that. And don't compare yourself to other people because other people have goals that are different than you. Like this guy that we're talking about that's buying 80 books per day, he clearly has a goal of making like, you want to be in a seven figure, like he wants to sell $1 million per year.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that?
Yep.
If you do, great, but you're going to have to buy 80 books a day.
Yep. Yeah, you can be $1 million seller, you can be a $500,000 seller, you can be a $10,000 seller, all with books. It's up to you which way you want to do it. And you're right, Georgie. I also like to source for less than 2 hours because I want to go the rest of the time and spend time with my wife. I want to go outside and be active. I want to have like a free lifestyle, and with books, that's possible. And that's what I know.
And also we want to help people out there be booksellers. What could we have been doing the last 30 minutes of filming this video? We could have each bought like 20 books probably each.
Oh, sure. We were able to buy 20 books pretty easily. Yeah,
Yeah.
within the 30
Oh,
minutes.
we're not. We're making this video because we want to help people out there because
Yep.
again, we get to choose how we spend our time. And at some point, enough money is enough money. And apparently for this other guy, he's got aspirations to go higher. More power to him. That's great. But as Victor, one thing I've learned from Victor is do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And
And
so
I really like giving back. It makes me so happy. So what I want you guys to do is understand what's possible with books. Go get it done. It literally will just fill my heart that you guys are doing that well. And I think we did it. I think we killed this video, Joji.
yeah, that's great. All right, guys. So at this point, all it is it just takes the consistent. It's an inventory based business. Right? That means you need an inventory, which means you need to buy books. So whatever your goal is, figure out how many books you need.
Mhm.
Go buy those books every single day, and whatever you got to do, make it a priority, make it work, make it happen. If you want access to that free calculator, the roadmap calculator. Link down below. All you need to do is give us your email address, and we'll send it over to you. And again, make sure you file, make a copy, and then you can change whatever you want. But I think this was a great video, and I'm excited for everyone out there. I guess we'll see you on the next BookMine Academy video.
Yep. See you guys there.
Peace.